you're probably going to be wasting a lot of tech, so it's a high
Hmm.
price to pay.
It already looks like Lightning is so far behind in economy here that using Windsor first might just result in Sven not fighting Windsor for another 3, 4, 5 more turns and just winning through having much higher economy. Seeing as there's a lot of defense in this set, like Sentinels are a defense in 4 turns. There's Energy Matrix for additional wall supply, and with the amount of drones that both players have bought, there's going to be a lot of force fields. So I think it's actually going to be a very long game, depending on the number of Sentinels as well.
Yeah, if both players are going to be buying a Sentinel every turn, it's definitely going to drag out the game because not only are they buying extra defense, they're not buying permanent attack, so their attack is not going to ramp up as quickly. So
Hmm.
that'll prolong the game quite a bit.
What do you think of the second Flame Animus here? To me, it seems like the 2 red might be going to waste here, with 3 blue as well. But I guess Sven
Well,
does have 25 drones.
yeah, I mean he had that extra blue. I don't know what else he would use that blue for. Maybe he could save a gold and get a steel splitter, but you're probably going to use that red at some point. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, there is ossified drone as well,
Yeah,
so he could just get an ossified and use it every turn, and that justifies the flame animus by itself, I think. But he's actually going for 2 sentinels here, so that seems to be his plan. And I think getting a second flame animus to go double sentinel here is perfectly fine.
okay. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. It seems like only a few Omegas have been bought. Like, we were discussing that Omega was, or you said that Omega was the most efficient attack here, but it seems like just the players have been having trouble actually buying Omegas since they're been using the blue to defend. Hmm.
Yeah, it's not your typical Omega Splitter game where you just rush out all the Omegas and it's a slow enough game. They're on defense, so you have the time to get all 4 of them. Um, both players rushed Windsor, so they had to build a lot of defense earlier, and they didn't have time to get out those Omega Splitters.
Would
So
you? One question here. It's happened twice now that Lightning has had both the Ossified Drone and Rhino on defense with full charges, where if Sven had decided to swing with Windsor, they would both die. Would you ever like you fire Windsor just for that small amount? I mean, small.
um, you know what? I think having it kill an ossified drone is
Hmm.
actually quite good because that's 1 drone. That's 1 income for your opponent compared to the 5 income that you're getting. So that just that alone could push it over, so that it's worth it to fire Windsor.
Yeah,
And
it
add
seems like it's
on
the.
add on a 2 charge Rhino. I think
Hmm.
I think it's pretty good to fire Windsor with that.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I would agree. Maybe not if the ossified that there were like a lot of ossifieds and only one would be dying. But seeing as this is the only ossified drone that Lightning has, I would be tempted to take that, especially because of the 2 charge Rhino in there as well.
Yeah, the 2
Though
charge Rhino is
maybe.
kind of just icing on the cake. But that
Hmm.
ossified drone is his only one, so he will be extinct if he fires the Windsor, and he won't be able to convert that red to defense.
Yeah.
So given that, do you think that Lightning should be clicking this ossified drone each turn, um, or at least over defend? Put the extra defense in 1 turn so that you can click it and then click 1 each turn, so he'll have
Mhm.
multiples.
It seems like he doesn't want to click ossified because he wants to keep buying those sentinels though. So.
Yeah, that seems to be his problem. Well, he was actually buying rhinos as well.
Mhm.
Um,
One thing Lightning has on his side, on his advantage, is that he has so much more green stored. However, those Sentinels will be coming on defense soon, and I think once they do, Sven is going to start buying Omegas, which is going to push his damage much higher than Lightning's. I think Sven, if he uses Windsor first, he has a very good advantage because even once he fires, he still has the same drone count as Lightning, but he's going to get the second Windsor turn faster. What do you think? Like, where do you think this game's gonna go from here?
Um, yeah, it's true that Sven has been ahead on econ, and he could fire that Windsor to get the second volley off first, and still be equal on drones. But the question is, will he be behind on damage if he does that? It's kind of hard to calculate damage with all these things that aren't actually dealing damage each
Constant
turn.
damage, yeah.
But it looks like at this point, Sven might be ahead with or without firing Windsor here. What do you?
Hmm.
If I'm
I think if the game just keeps on going, yeah, Sven looks like in a better spot because it has been going for 16 turns where Sven has been up on economy. So those like 3, 4, 5 drones every turn just add up to so much gold. I think here, as I said, like Sentinels coming back on defense just allows Sven to get Omegas. So it's gonna be huge. Lightning also has the problem of being lower on wall count. Only 2 more walls left for him, which is gonna be like a big deal. Uh, One thing that Sven isn't doing though is threatening Tia, so I guess that puts a little less pressure on Lightning. And he did buy a second Flame Animus to be able to click on the Ossified. Do you think Fire Windsor here is good?
let's see, it's gonna kill a drone and a two-charge Rhino. So yeah, I think it is pretty decent to fire the Windsor. I forgot about Tia for a
Yeah,
while there, and I think at about this time, maybe even sooner, Tia should have been bought, um, or
I
should be
think.
bought very soon. And
Yeah, I
Lightning
think.
has 12 green right now, so
Mhm.
it is pretty easy for him to buy a Tia whenever he wants. He just has to
I
decide
would
on the timing.
I think Sven is going for it. This is why he's not buying a Sentinel, but he's buying 2 Rhinos instead. It looks like he's trying to go for a Tia next turn, and because he's firing Windsor this turn, it's slightly going to cripple Lightning. He's gonna spend all of his econ building defense this turn, so it gives him a really good timing for the Tia, where it's going to be basically unmatched.
Yeah, do you think that the timing of this, you know, Windsor attack and the Tia is due to the wall supply running out for Lightning? Is that, do you think, what triggered
I
this first
think
event?
that's actually a big factor, yes. Seeing as like there's no walls left, he has to build other prompt defense, which is in this set only force fields. They're out of energy matrices, and no sentinels are coming back on defense here. So Sven's timing was very good here. And seeing as he's probably going to buy Tia this turn as well, it's just going to cripple Lightning. He's not going to have enough defense prepared to defend all of that. And Tia's last swing, or is it going to be second swing, might even come with Windsor. Though apparently that's not Sven's plan.
Oh, well, it looks like Lightning's going to concede here. Sven doesn't even need to Tia. Kind of odd that no one bought Tia that game. It can I think if I was Lightning and I saw that I was, slipping behind, I would have gone for a Tia and seen if that would turn the game around.
Yeah. Oh, chat is asking if you could turn all chat off. to only have the game.
Um, yeah,
We
that's
should have
probably a good
asked
idea.
which. We should have asked which units they banned. It would have been a good idea. So we're going into game two of Lightning versus Sven, right?
Um, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Have they started? It looks like they have.
Yeah. Let
All
me
right.
just message. Let me just message Sven right here because it's still at the start of the game and not his turn. Let
You're
me
gonna ask
try.
for his bans?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'd be interested to know what they banned. So we have Omega Splitter again. We got Zaytron, the new unit. Seems to be the crowd favorite. Everyone seems to like this unit.
Hmm.
Can be used as an absorber or kind of as an attacker. It constructs cost charges, but you have to sacrifice its health. Trinity Drone, making a breach-proof strategy viable, although I don't see any good breach-proof attackers, so that
Yeah.
might not really come into effect. Just a use for extra green, I suppose. Kinetic Driver could definitely be useful. Um, Not
It's a
clear
very
how.
flexible unit. It's
Yeah,
a very flexible unit, and it can stop your opponent from triggering, like using, like going through with their plan, I should say.
yeah. Can you
I have
see
gotten the.
any key uses for Kinetic Driver in this particular set?
If anything, it might stop either an Omega or a question mark Emperilla. Um, do you think Emperilla is a factor in here, or do you just think it's far too squishy? To me, there isn't that much burst attack other than Zeichon, and Zeichon isn't the fastest attacker, so.
I actually think Amperilla could come into play this game, primarily because there is a decent absorber that only requires one blue, as which is Doom
Hmm.
Dwell, and there's Ebb Turbine,
Yeah.
so you can have enough for to support that double Animus and get out an Amperilla, while even potentially getting a wall out for defense.
Hmm. It seems like Sven is just using those Trinity drones for not per se to go for breach proof, but just because instead of using gold, he's using the green. And it looks like he's trying to go for like Tarsiers plus Feral Warden. Do you think that's okay here? I feel like Omega Splitter might actually just crush Feral Wardens here, but neither player is going for that unit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sven was player two this game, so Trinity Drone let him get the natural conduit followed by an animus with two drones. So I
Hmm.
think that was probably worth it. And then the next turn he happened to have just enough for a training drone as well.
Yeah,
So I don't think he wants the training drones, but it's just, it's better to get the training drone than to float two gold and a green.
of course, of course. No, no,
Um,
no. Those Trinity drones are fine. As long as he doesn't convert all his drones into Trinity drones, he shouldn't have much trouble. Um, the bans I got back were actually Frostbite for Lightning and Electrovore for Sven, which is kind of funny because if Sven had gotten Electrovore in the set, he would actually be even in an even better spot, in my opinion. Uh,
well, he has. So the rush would be Immolite, Electivore, and Feral Warden,
yeah.
which I don't think would be very strong. I think just the presence of Feral Warden makes that rush a lot weaker. And there's also Dundwall and Ebb Turbine, so I don't actually think that would work. It's interesting. In a base plus 8 game, I think I would ban Electivore hands down, but in a base plus 11 game, I think there's enough counterplay that you don't need to ban it. Well,
That's very interesting. I think one of the most popular bans we'll see tonight is probably Frostbite and Endotherm, since people don't like playing versus those units. I'm wondering what else is getting banned though. Maybe somebody bans something like Odin or Apollo, or maybe just like a ban that's targeted at the other player. Maybe knowing that Allrock prefers really long games, you